Nobody claps for this moment, but it's the most important one of your life. There comes a moment in almost every person's life that nobody celebrates. It is not the day you win. It is not the day you become successful. It is not the day people finally believe in you. It is the day you quietly sit alone, looking at the life you've created, and you whisper to yourself, "This can't be it." Not because your life is over, not because you've failed forever, but because something inside you finally wakes up. That moment is not your breaking point. That is your beginning. Some people call it a crisis. I call it an invitation to restart, an invitation to rebuild, an invitation to refocus. As nature already knows the secret you're missing. As either every winter, the trees appear empty, their leaves disappear, their beauty seems gone. Someone walking by who doesn't understand seasons might think the tree is dying. But the tree isn't dying. It's preparing. It's conserving. It's making room for another beginning. Human beings panic during their winters because we've convinced ourselves that every season should look like spring. Growth has never worked that way. You might not know why you're watching this, but your body does. Maybe you're here today because you've lost something. Maybe money, maybe confidence, maybe someone walked out of your life. Maybe you made decisions you wish you could erase. Or maybe nothing dramatic happened at all. Maybe you simply woke up one morning, realizing you've been surviving instead of living. Your real enemy has never been failure. It's something much quieter. As your greatest enemy is rarely failure. Your greatest enemy is familiarity. Getting comfortable with a life that no longer represents who you could become. Comfort has a strange way of stealing dreams without making any noise. One day becomes another. Monday becomes Friday. January becomes December. 5 years disappear. You weren't making terrible decisions. You just stopped making intentional ones. And that is dangerous. A craftsman taught me something that changes how you see your own damage. I learned this from an old craftsman who restored broken furniture. People brought him tables with cracked legs, chairs that had collapsed, cabinets damaged by time. One afternoon I asked him, "How do you know if something is worth restoring?" He smiled without looking up. "I never look at what it is today. I look at what it was built to become." People don't need restoration because of their damage. They need restoration because they've forgotten their design. A scratched diamond is still a diamond. Maybe life has scratched you. Maybe disappointment has cracked your confidence. Maybe rejection has chipped away at your courage. But damage does not erase design. A scratched diamond is still a diamond. A bent key can still open a door. A storm doesn't change the value of a mountain. Your circumstances are not your identity. Yet everyday people introduce themselves by their wounds. I'm the one who failed. I'm the one who got divorced. I'm the one who wasn't chosen. No, those are experiences. They are not identities. Your identity should never be borrowed from your worst season, because seasons change, always. A 6-year-old asked one question that broke a grown man. Let me tell you about a young man who worked the same job for nearly 12 years. Same alarm, same road, same desk, same complaints, same dreams postponed until someday. One evening, his little daughter asked him a simple question. "Dad, are grown up supposed to look tired all the time?" Children ask dangerous questions because they don't know how to protect our excuses. That night he looked in the mirror, really looked, and didn't recognize the man staring back. His face wasn't old. His spirit was. He hadn't lost his ability. He had lost his direction. There's a difference. Fasten restarting doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with something harder. SC restarting begins not with motivation, but with honesty. You have to become brave enough to ask yourself the hard questions. Where am I pretending? Where am I settling? What habits have quietly become my prison? What conversations do I keep having that never move my life forward? Who am I trying to impress? Why am I postponing the very life I say I want? These questions don't punish you. They free you. Awareness always comes before transformation. Everyone wants opportunity. Almost nobody prepares for it. Essay. People love talking about opportunities. Very few talk about preparation. Opportunity without preparation creates frustration. Preparation without opportunity creates patience. And patience eventually meets opportunity. The farmer doesn't scream at the field because nothing grew overnight. He trusts the process beneath the surface. Yet people plant one day of discipline and expect a harvest by Friday. Life doesn't reward intensity nearly as much as it rewards consistency. You've been more loyal to other people's expectations than your own. Think about how many times you've shown up for others while disappearing from yourself. You said you'd start reading tomorrow. You said you'd exercise next week. You said you'd save money next month. You said you'd launch the business next year. Years later, the calendar changed. You didn't. Time never stopped moving. Only your decision did. Yes, the most dangerous cost in your life is the one you can't see. The cost of delay is almost invisible. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Nobody wakes up after one lazy morning and ruins their future. Nobody destroys their confidence because they skipped one workout. It's the accumulation of tiny choices, repeated daily, like drops of water. One drop changes nothing. Enough drops reshape stone. Small disciplines become extraordinary lives. Small neglect becomes extraordinary regret. Regret doesn't arrive with a bang. It arrives silently, until one day it's standing in front of you. Regret is rarely born in dramatic moments. It grows quietly, one ignored opportunity at a time, one abandoned promise at a time, until one day you meet the person you could have become. You see someone living the courage you postponed, building the business you kept talking about, writing the book you kept planning, and suddenly you realize that your competition was never another person. It was your own hesitation. Cassie, imagine carrying a backpack that gets heavier every time you make an excuse. Every time you avoid responsibility, another stone goes inside. Every excuse, another stone. Every unfinished commitment, another stone. At first, it's easy to carry. Then weeks pass, months pass, years pass. And you start telling people life feels heavy. Of course it does. You've been collecting unnecessary weight. But responsibility works both ways. Every disciplined action removes a stone. Every courageous conversation removes another. Little by little, the backpack becomes lighter. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Comfort has a job. Growth has a different one. Strength is rarely created in comfort. Comfort specializes in maintenance. Growth specializes in challenge. That's why rebuilding your life often feels uncomfortable. You're asking old habits to leave, old beliefs to move aside, your identity to expand. Expansion always creates tension. A bridge carries tremendous pressure before it ever carries a single person. Pressure isn't always proof something is breaking. Sometimes it's proof something important is being built. One old man's secret question changed everything for him. I once met an elderly man who had lived through failures most people never recover from. Collapsed businesses, ended friendships, health crisis. Yet he carried a calm confidence. I asked him his secret. He said, I stopped asking why life was happening to me. I started asking what life was trying to teach me. Victims ask, why me? Students ask, what now? One question steals power, the other creates it. It's different city. Same habit, sound familiar. Life keeps repeating lessons until we finally learn them. Different city, same habit. Different relationship, same insecurity. Different job, same procrastination. The scenery changes. The pattern remains, unless you change. Restarting is not moving somewhere else. Restarting is becoming someone else. You don't need a new calendar. You need new standards. Kest, what do you refuse to tolerate from yourself anymore? Late nights with no purpose. Constant negativity. Living below your potential. Breaking promises to yourself. Waiting for permission. The moment your standards rise, your life begins reorganizing itself. Some people leave. Some opportunities arrive. Some habits disappear. Because you no longer fit the life you used to accept. See, a sculptor revealed the real secret to becoming who you're meant to be. Das. Someone once asked a sculptor, how do you create something so magnificent from a giant block of stone? He smiled. I don't create it. I remove everything that doesn't belong. That's rebuilding. You're not adding a new identity. You're removing what was never truly you. The fear. The doubt borrowed from other people. The limiting beliefs inherited from childhood. Piece by piece, you chip away the unnecessary until the person you were, or always capable of becoming, begins to appear. Maybe your next level isn't asking you to gain something. Maybe it's asking you to release something. Release the comparison. Release the bitterness. Release the endless need for approval. Release the belief that your past has more authority than your future. Every day you carry yesterday's chains. Today loses its freedom. And freedom is essential for focus. Working hard and going nowhere. Here's why. Rebuilding without focus is like trying to fill a bucket with holes. You work hard, you stay busy, you feel exhausted, yet nothing significant changes. Because motion is not always progress. Sunlight spread across an entire field only warms it. Concentrated through a single lens, it can ignite fire. Same energy, different focus. Scattered attention creates average results. Directed attention creates transformation. Yes, an archer with perfect aim still misses. Because of this one thing. Imagine an archer, 50 yards from the target, perfect posture, excellent equipment, genuine desire to hit the center. But every few seconds, someone taps his shoulder and points to another target. Try this one. It's trending. That one pays more. How many arrows ever reach the center? Very few. Not because the archer lacked talent. Because he lacked uninterrupted attention. That is the real battle of modern life. It's not your money. It's not your time. It's the one resource stealing your future. Your greatest resource is not your money. It is not your education. It is not even your time. It is your attention. Where your attention goes, your life eventually follows. Every day your brain is building something. A stronger habit, a stronger fear, a stronger identity, a stronger excuse, or a stronger purpose. You are always becoming. The only question is becoming what? She asked the wrong question for 20 years. Then she found the right one. I once met a woman who decided to change her life after nearly 20 years of believing she couldn't. She told me, for years, I kept asking how to change my life. One morning I realized I'd been asking the wrong question. The real question was, who must I become for the life I want to make sense? Success isn't only about achieving something. It's about becoming someone capable of sustaining it. Kes. People pray for bigger opportunities while refusing to become bigger people. S. Life has a way of protecting us from responsibilities we're not yet prepared to carry. Handing someone the keys to a race car doesn't fix anything if they've never learned to drive. The problem isn't the car. It's the character behind the wheel. Character determines capacity. Capacity determines influence. Influence determines legacy. And character is built when nobody is watching. Squeeze an orange, and only orange juice comes out. Same rule applies to you. Pressure never creates character. Pressure reveals it. No matter how hard you squeeze an orange, apple juice never comes out. Whatever is inside eventually appears. Under pressure, fear appears or courage. Excuses appear or responsibility. That's why rebuilding always starts internally. New job, same thinking. New house, same fears. New relationship, same emotional habits. Different environment, identical identity. Nothing truly changes. You cannot outperform the picture you carry of yourself. If deep inside you believe you're unworthy, every achievement will feel temporary. If you believe success belongs to someone else, you'll unconsciously sabotage your own progress. That's why self-respect matters. Not arrogance, not ego. Just knowing your value without needing constant validation. As a gardener refused to plant flowers first. Here's why that matters to you. I once watched a gardener spend weeks removing weeds and improving soil before planting a single flower. People wondered why nothing beautiful had appeared. But he understood healthy roots matter more than visible flowers. Our culture celebrates flowers, titles, money, followers, applause. But life is sustained by roots. Your values are roots. Your habits are roots. Your discipline is a root. Nobody applauds roots. Yet without them, nothing beautiful survives. Feeling stuck. You might just be growing where you can't see it yet. And the tallest tree in the forest owes its strength to the part nobody ever sees. Maybe your roots have been growing while you've been expecting flowers. Invisible growth often feels like no growth at all. But don't confuse silence with stagnation. Seeds grow in darkness before they ever reach the light. Hess as a clockmaker showed me what everyone else was missing. Sector every clock depends on hundreds of tiny moving parts. One broken gear can stop the entire system. A clockmaker once told me, people admire the hands because they move. I spend my time protecting the gears because they matter. How much of your life is spent protecting appearances instead of protecting your gears? Your sleep, your thinking, your health, your relationships. People see your performance. Very few see the system producing it. A shortcut can get you there faster. It can't keep you there. Winning is often the visible result of an invisible lifestyle. A shortcut may help you arrive faster. It cannot help you stay longer. When storms arrive on the mountain, who survives? The one who built strength during the climb, or the one who searched for easier paths? Life rewards preparation more than convenience. Depths, if your future self walked in right now, what would they thank you for? Not 10 years older, 10 years wiser. Would they thank you for another evening spent distracted? Another year of hesitation? Or would they smile because this was the season you finally got serious about your own potential? Your future isn't built in one moment. It's negotiated every single day. Esther, every decision casts a vote. Every habit casts another. Eventually those votes become an identity. And identities are powerful because people naturally act in agreement with who they believe they are. Changing your life isn't merely about changing behavior. It's about changing belief. I'm trying to become disciplined. Behaves differently then. I am a disciplined person who occasionally struggles. One identity is uncertain. The other has direction. Speed means nothing if you're headed the wrong way. I've seen people moving quickly toward destinations they never intended to reach. Busy, stressed, productive, and completely lost. Activity is a terrible substitute for clarity. Imagine boarding a train. Comfortable seats, smooth ride, everything impressive. Then someone quietly tells you it's going the wrong direction. Suddenly speed becomes irrelevant. Second, a marathon runner's real secret has nothing to do with running. Sixth, people always asked him for the perfect training program. He'd smile and say, "The hardest part isn't learning how to run. It's learning how not to stop when your mind begins negotiating with your comfort." Every meaningful goal eventually introduces you to a conversation inside your own mind. Not with critics, not with competitors, with yourself. As comfort never announces itself as your enemy. It disguises itself as permission. Your mind whispers, "You've done enough. You deserve a break. No one will notice." Those whispers rarely sound dangerous. They sound reasonable. And that's exactly why they're so powerful. But there's another voice, quieter and steadier, that asks one different question. What kind of person do you want to be when this moment is over? That question changes everything. Every difficult moment hands you a pen. Every response writes another sentence. Every disciplined choice writes another paragraph. Long before the world ever reads your story, your character has already begun shaping the next page. Because the person you become in private determines what becomes possible in public. A mentor gave his apprentice one block of wood for months. A young apprentice finally asked his mentor, "When do I get to do the important work?" The mentor handed him a block of wood. "Make this perfectly square." Weeks passed, months passed. Frustrated, the apprentice said, "You're wasting my potential." The mentor smiled, "No, I'm protecting it." If you become careless with small things, you'll become dangerous with large ones. The world tells you to chase opportunities. Wisdom tells you to build capacity. And nobody applauds the mornings that build champions. People admire the champion on stage. Few admire the thousands of ordinary mornings that quietly built them. Those mornings are invisible, but they are everything. Greatness is usually disguised as repetition. Anybody can begin. Beginning is emotional. Continuing is character. Most resolutions don't fail because of laziness. They fail because of confusion. Das emotion says, "I'll do it when I feel inspired." Commitment says, "I'll do it because I decided." There's a tremendous difference between deciding once and negotiating every day. You don't ask yourself every morning whether to brush your teeth. The decision is already part of your identity. Treat excellence the same way. Identity removes friction. Consistency removes doubt. Confidence doesn't come first. It comes after this. Confidence often follows evidence. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes proof. Proof you can trust yourself. Proof that when you commit, you follow through. Self-trust is one of the greatest forms of wealth you'll ever possess. Because once you trust yourself, you stop waiting for someone else to believe in you first. Would you trust a friend who cancels every plan? Then why do you trust yourself less? You promised you'd wake up earlier. You didn't. You promised you'd finish the course. You stopped halfway. Every broken promise quietly teaches your mind one dangerous lesson. My words don't matter. Eventually, your own mind stops believing you. That's why rebuilding begins with small victories. Wake up when you said you would. Finish what you started. Keep one promise. S. Completion is more powerful than you think. C. Completion creates momentum. Momentum creates belief. Belief creates action. Action creates identity. Identity creates destiny. The chain begins with something so small, most people overlook it. One honest decision. A stonecutter struck the same rock 100 times, and nothing happened. Then it split in half. Yes. People standing nearby thought the final strike caused the breakthrough. The stonecutter knew better. Every strike mattered, even the ones that looked like they accomplished nothing. You read today, nothing dramatic happens. You exercise today, no miracle. But beneath the surface, pressure is building, wisdom is accumulating. One day, people will call your transformation sudden. There's no such thing. What looks sudden is the visible result of years of invisible faithfulness. One snowflake doesn't stop traffic. Millions do. Who see one sentence doesn't write a book. Thousands do. One customer doesn't build a business. Many do. Life is constantly asking one question. Can I trust you with repetition? Destiny isn't built on isolated moments. It's built on repeated choices. A river doesn't get deep in one pass. Neither does your mind. As a river becomes deep, because water follows the same path over and over. Your thoughts create pathways too. Every time you say, I'm always unlucky, that pathway gets deeper. Every time you choose responsibility over blame, a new pathway forms. You are literally training yourself with every repeated thought. Yes or A1. Degree shift means nothing today and everything a year from now. A captain steering a ship barely notices a 1-degree adjustment. But after hundreds of miles, that tiny shift leads to an entirely different destination. Maybe you don't need to change your whole life this week. Maybe you need to change your direction by 1 degree. 1 habit, 1 hour, 1 decision, repeated consistently. Life rarely sends lightning. It usually sends sunrise instead. Every morning the sun rises without an announcement. No trumpet, no crowd. Yet that quiet consistency has shaped the world for thousands of years. Don't become obsessed with making noise. Become obsessed with showing up. The hardest part of restarting isn't beginning. It's protecting what you've built. Yes. The old version of you doesn't disappear overnight. It waits patiently. It whispers familiar thoughts. One evening, when progress feels slow, that voice may say, maybe you were happier before. But listen closer. There's a quieter voice underneath, asking, were you truly happy? Or had you simply become comfortable with living beneath your potential? There's a world of difference between comfort and fulfillment. Such comfort is not the same as fulfillment. Familiarity is not the same as peace. Existing is not the same as living. Every meaningful transformation eventually reaches a crossroads. One road familiar, the other uncertain but alive with growth. Yes, the greatest reward for discipline was never money. The greatest reward for discipline is becoming a person you deeply respect. Imagine lying down at the end of each day, knowing you gave your best effort, kept your word, chose courage over comfort. That kind of peace cannot be purchased. It must be earned. Years from now, you won't remember the ordinary Tuesdays. You'll remember this DOS. You'll remember the morning you stopped making excuses. The day you decided your future deserved more than your fear. The moment you stopped asking, what if I fail? And started asking, what if I become everything I was created to become? The people who change the world are rarely the loudest ones. More often. They're the people quietly keeping promises to themselves when nobody is watching. They know greatness grows in private before it appears in public. They don't wait for perfect conditions, because perfect conditions never arrive. They begin where they are, with what they have. Your mistakes are chapters, not the title of your story. Your setbacks are teachers, not your identity. Your failures are experiences, not your destiny. You still have decisions to make. You still have skills to learn. You still have mountains to climb. And most beautiful of all, you still have today. Not yesterday, not next year, today. Don't just carry inspiration out of here. Carry intention, the say. Don't chase a temporary feeling. Build permanent habits. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Become the kind of person who creates opportunities through preparation and relentless growth. Not because you failed, but because you refuse to let yesterday define tomorrow. 'Cause years from now, someone will ask what changed your life. And it will come down to one day. The day you decided that enough drifting was enough. The day you chose responsibility over excuses, progress over comfort, purpose over distraction. And from that day forward, your life didn't become easier. You became stronger, wiser, more intentional. Step by step, choice by choice. You built a life based not on luck, but on character, discipline, and the quiet decision to become the very best version of yourself. If this reached something in you, tell me in one line. Today, I'm putting down one stone. And if someone in your life needs to hear this more than you do, send it to them right now.